Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling Google.
Google.
Yeah, well, more like, is Google's reign ending? We all use it every day.
Right. I see what you mean. Not just another tech story.
Exactly. We're talking massive changes, like how we even use the internet if some of this stuff goes through.
You've been doing your homework, I can tell.
Well, let's just say we've been digging through a mountain of legal papers, expert opinions, even some surprisingly blunt quotes from tech CEOs.
Juicy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the headline? What'd you find?
A storm's brewing around Google, one that could totally reshape the digital landscape.
Yeah, antitrust. It's serious stuff. Governments everywhere are looking at whether Google's just too big, whether their reach is stifling competition, maybe even hurting us, the users.
And it all starts with search, right? I mean, it's practically instinct at this point. Got a question, you Google it.
Second nature.
But they've got, 88% of the global search market? That's huge. Almost every single search goes through them.
And that, my friend, is how they control online advertising. That's where the real money is. Think of it like this. The internet's a highway, and Google's built toll booths on every exit ramp. Businesses got to pay up if they want their message seen.
Walled garden, that's what they call it, right?
Exactly. Websites need traffic, advertisers need to reach people, and Google's the gatekeeper, taking a cut the whole way.
And they're being accused of, using that power to shut out the competition, right? Like that whole thing with Apple and DuckDuckGo.
Oh yeah, the privacy-focused search engine. I remember that. Apple was supposedly considering making it the default on iPhones, at least for private browsing.
Seemed like a good fit, given Apple's whole privacy thing.
Right. But then, PFD, gone. Rumor has it, those plans were scrapped because of Apple's deal with, you guessed it, Google.
And we're talking billions, with a B, every year for Apple to make Google the default search. That's some serious cash.
Talk about an uphill battle for any competitor. I mean, even on Android, their own system, it's a nightmare to switch away from Google search. Buried in menus, not exactly user-friendly, shows you how hard it is to escape their grasp.
It's like David versus Goliath. Speaking of which, what about that Epic Games lawsuit? Fortnite, anyone?
Oh man, that was huge. Really exposed what's going on with Google's App Store, that 30% cut they take on every in-app purchase. Epic said that was way too much, that they should be able to deal with their customers directly, maybe even offer lower prices with some real competition.
And they won. Epic won, forcing Google to allow other ways to pay in the App Store. That's got to be a big deal, right?
Oh, absolutely, a major win. But you know how these things go, the fight's far from over. Google's appealing like crazy, and that whole issue of their power over apps in the digital marketplace, that's not going away. Just one battle and a much bigger war.
So the billion, maybe trillion-dollar question is, can the U.S. government actually break up Google?
It's definitely possible, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about, a parking ticket here. These are serious antitrust measures. And the outcomes, what legal experts call remedies, they can be huge. It's all about fixing things, making the playing field level again.
Okay, so remedies. Give it to me straight. Are we talking a slap on the wrist for Google, or are we talking full-blown corporate surgery? What are the options here?
Well, think of it like a sliding scale. On one end, you've got your weak remedies, kind of like behavioral bans. Basically telling Google you can't do that anymore, like favoring their own products and search results or making it tough to use other app stores on Android.
Setting some boundaries, basically.
Exactly. But here's where it gets juicy. They're also thinking about structural remedies. And that means, a potential breakup.
Whoa, okay, now we're talking. But how do you even break up Google? I mean, it's massive. Does Google Maps become its own company? What about Gmail?
It could get that wild, honestly. One of the big ones they've been kicking around is Google having to sell off Android. Think about it. Android phones are everywhere. That would be seismic.
Wow, yeah. Phone makers could go to town, customizing it, more competition, innovation. The whole smartphone landscape would change. And what about their ad network? That's like the heart of this whole thing.
Sure. Google's got their hands in everything, connecting advertisers, websites. It's an advantage. Some would say unfair. Estimates are like 11% of their total revenue comes from that. Billions and billions, potentially affecting what we pay for stuff every day. A lot of folks think that if a breakup happens, the ad network is the first to go.
So instead of this giant controlling everything, we'd have multiple players competing, maybe leading to fairer prices for businesses and for us. But wouldn't breaking up a company this successful, wouldn't stifle innovation? Google's investing in crazy stuff,
Right.
AI, self-driving cars, even trying to make us live longer. Won't all this legal mess distract them from, changing the world?
You got a point there. It's tricky, but think back to Microsoft, late 90s, early 2000s. Same accusations, monopoly, the whole 9 yards.
Right. Windows, Internet Explorer, that whole battle. But they didn't break them up, did they?
Nope. Some restrictions, sure, but Microsoft stayed mostly intact. But, and this is key, some experts say those legal battles, all that fighting, it made them lose focus.
And then, bam, Google swoops in with all these new game-changing products and services, and suddenly, Microsoft's playing catch-up.
Exactly. And it makes you think, right? Google may be huge, but tech moves fast. Look at ChatGPT. OpenAI came out of nowhere. Now they're a major player in AI, going head-to-head with Google. Some even say Google's already lagging behind, even with all their resources.
It's kind of wild to think, could all this legal stuff actually be what changes the game for big tech?
Could be. Whether Google gets broken up or not, the pressure's on. They have to innovate to keep up, and that's good for everyone, right? And that's really why we're talking about this today. It affects all of us.
Yeah, right. It's bigger than just some companies duking it out in court. This is the internet for everyone.
Think about how much you use Google every day. I mean, seriously. Searching, finding your way, watching videos. It's part of life. What happens with these lawsuits, it could change everything about how we use the internet, connect with each other, everything.
And it's not just them, is it? It feels like we're figuring out how to, put the reins on all these tech giants. They've gotten so powerful, so fast.
Exactly. We're playing catch-up, right? The internet exploded, but the rules? Well, they haven't really kept pace. That's what antitrust law is supposed to do, level the playing field.
So Google's like the test case.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
What happens to them could affect Amazon, Apple, Meta, even Ticketmaster. It's
Sure.
about setting the rules for the whole digital world, how these companies work, how they compete, how they affect us.
Wow. We've covered a lot today, haven't we? But that's what we do here. We dig into this stuff so you don't have to, so you can make up your own mind.
Because in the end, this tech, it's shaping our world. We all have a say in that, or we should.
So one last thought before we go. Let's say Google does get split up. What happens? Is it a good thing, like this digital renaissance, all this new stuff springing up? Or do things fall apart, the internet gets messy, harder to use?
Tough questions, and the experts are still arguing about it, believe me. But one thing's for sure, things are changing fast. What we decide now matters for all of us. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep those questions coming.